Well, howdy folks. Most of you have probably seen or maybe even used websites like ADSB Exchange, where you can track aircraft in real time. That is made possible by a system called ADSB, or Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. Basically, it's a system where every aircraft in civilian airspace transmits its position and some other data on a certain frequency to enable air traffic controllers to track it and, of course, to avoid collisions. In this video, I'm going to show you how that data gets to the tracking websites. And then I'm going to show you how, for less than $100, you can build your own ADSB receiver offline. If you're out in the field with no internet connection, you can still track aircraft on your screen. And at the end of the video, we're going to go on a little expedition up to the power lines overlook, where you have a really good view of the airspace over Area 51. Up there, I'm going to show you that Janets in approach to Area 51 do not turn off their transmitter. A lot of people believe they do because they suddenly disappear from tracking websites when they are in approach to Area 51. That is simply a function of terrain. The aircraft gets so low that they disappear behind mountain ranges and the signal is lost. So stay with me and I'll walk you through all this. You can find links to some of the tracking websites in the description to this video. The data to these websites is mostly provided by private individuals who maintain receivers all over the country, all over the world really, and feed that data to these websites via the internet. Let me show you a setup that is used for those purposes. Here's a typical setup that is used to receive ADSB data and feeds it to the tracking websites. We have on the left a Raspberry Pi that is essentially a small mini computer that does all the work. And then on the right, we have an SDR, a software-defined radio, that receives the signals and feeds it via a USB port to the Raspberry Pi. Of course, the antenna cable, and then this is a receiver antenna. Now, this is a pretty good size antenna that eventually will go up on my site in Tonopah. In the field, you can get away with a smaller antenna that will still show you aircraft in a 50+ mile radius. So this is pretty much all you need to feed data to the internet, to these tracking websites. I currently operate two such receivers, one here in Rachel and one in Goldfield on the other side of the test site. You can see the data from these receivers through links on my website. Go to the links section and scroll down to live aircraft tracking. Let's take a look at the data from my Rachel receiver. Rachel is located somewhere around here, and these are all the aircraft that my receiver here in Rachel currently picks up. Now let's take a look at the Goldfield receiver. Goldfield is on the other side of the test site around here. And you can see that it picks up quite a few more aircraft than my Rachel receiver. That is because the Goldfield receiver is on top of a mountain, whereas my Rachel receiver is in the valley here in Rachel. Next month I will add another receiver up here in Tonopah, so I will have 3 receivers around the test site. That will make it possible to do calculations called Multilateration. That is essentially calculating an aircraft's position by triangulation. Some aircraft don't broadcast their position, but only their ID. With multilateration, you can still make them show up on the map by triangulating their position. And so when that tonal power receiver will go up, you will see a lot more aircraft in the test site that are not currently transmitting their position. All right, so now let me show you a way how you can receive tracking data in the field and watch aircraft in real time without an internet connection. And this is all you need for a basic ADS-B receiver and display in the field. No internet connection needed. All you need is a Windows laptop, the SDR, a little antenna, and of course a piece of software that I'm going to show you in a minute. Installation instructions for Windows are in the description. And I'm going to walk you through all this here and show you how it all plays together. Of course, in the field, you probably want to have a little better antenna to get better coverage. I'm also going to put links to order the SDR and a decent antenna in the description. All right, let me show you the software. I have already installed and configured the Dump1090 software. Detailed step-by-step instructions are in the description. The SDR is connected to the USB port and hooked up to the large antenna that I showed you earlier. Now we start the Dump1090 software in the command window. And as you can see, it starts receiving aircraft data right away. It provides the data through a local web server on a dedicated port. We can display it just like a website in our browser. As you can see, the screen shows all the aircraft that we are currently picking up locally. And we can click on aircraft for more information, just like in the online version. The information is pulled from a local database that is updated periodically. So with this setup, there's no need for an internet connection. Now let's go take it up to the power lines overlook and track some Janet shuttles into Area 51. As I mentioned earlier, there's a common misconception that Janet shuttles turn off their ADS-B transmitters before landing at Area 51. In reality, Janets simply disappear behind mountain ranges and the signal can no longer be received. The power lines overlook has a view of the Area 51 airspace almost to the ground. From there, we can track Janets almost until they touch down at Area 51. It is also a great location to scan Area 51 radio traffic. A link to directions is in the description. For the most part, the road up there is in really good condition, but that can change after heavy rains. So here we are at the power lines overlook with a good view of the airspace over Area 51, waiting for a Janet. We got our ADS-B antenna rigged to the truck, and of course we got our ADS-B receiver software running. There it is. And right away we picked up a Janet sitting at the Janet terminal at Area 51. It's on the ground. In less than 2 hours I'm recording the tracks of 4 Janets in and out of Area 51. Stay tuned for a comparison of my tracks from up here versus online tracking. Here's Janet 27 in approach to Area 51 and Janet 34 on the ground ready to taxi. And here's a time lapse of Janet 51 in approach to Area 51.
51, level 14000, we have our destination weather, requesting visual 33.
51 control cleared on range via Jason to Whiskey Bugsy, expect the visual approach runway 33.
Center 51, Jason, Whiskey Bugsy, will expect.
Clock 0334, report field side.
Center 51, 0334, airfield side.
51, roger, cleared visual approach runway 33 via Whiskey Bugsy.
Janet 51, clear the visual 33 via Whiskey Bugsy.
1 free change approved.
Janet 51, switching. One's approaching Bugsy for the visual 3-3.
1 Tower Port, left base is gear.
Center 5-1, welcome. 5-1 is left base, gear down, 3-3.
5-1, runway 33, wind 2705, clear to land.
Janet 5-1, clear to land, 3-3.
1 left turn, next taxiway available, taxi park monitor ground off.
Center 5-1, left of Fox, slow to park monitor ground off.
Here's a close-up track of Janet 3-4 parked at the Area 51 Janet terminal. And a ground track of Janet 10 taxiing from the executive ramp for takeoff on runway 15. Here are some comparisons of my tracks versus ADS-B exchange of the same flight. As you can see, in all cases, my track from up here extends much closer to Area 51. For Janet 10, I even got a sporadic track taxiing on the ground. From Tikaboo Peak, with a clear line of sight of Area 51, you would be able to track the Janets all the way to their parking position. I hope this helps clear up the common misconception that Janets to Area 51 turn off their ADS-B tracker. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, please like, comment and subscribe.